All right, folks, today, you know what you're going to be doing? You're going to be graphing combined functions and then combining the functions to form one function. So graphing we've done before, but we've never really combined functions. So if you're combining functions, you're taking two functions and making them one. So let's look at our prior knowledge, folks, and let's see if you remember some of this. The slope-intercept form. Prior knowledge. Slope-intercept form starts with a y equals. Does anybody remember what the slope-intercept form is? Yeah, you? Oh, all right, that's correct. It's y equals mx plus b. Now, if it's mx plus b, that must mean that the m stands for something. And check this out. It's slope, and what comes first in here? Slope, intercept, and there's the intercept. So in this case, the m stands for the slope, and the b stands for the intercept. Now, we got to be careful here, because when we're talking about the intercept, we're actually talking about the y-intercept. So, we have the slope-intercept formula, and we need a slope and a y-intercept. So let's look at these two examples here, and it says we're going to graph y equals mx plus b. So the first function, which is function f of x, it says f of x is 3x minus 1. So what I'm going to do here is say, well, m is the number always in front of x, the coefficient. So in this case, it's going to be 3. And the b is negative 1. Now, one of those should be a slope. And if you remember back in the day when we said slope is always rise over run. So my m, I personally like to make it a fraction. If it's a whole number, just put it over 1. So we have our m, which is 3 over 1, and our b, which is negative 1. Everybody see that? M and our b. M and our b. Okay? And now that we have g of x, let's look at g of x. One of those numbers would be the m. One of those numbers would be the b, the y-intercept. Well, since the m, and it tells you right here, the m is always right there in front of the x, the m is negative 2, and the b is usually the number chilling out at the end, you know what I'm saying? So the number at the end is my 3. But since we're graphing, one of those should be a fraction, and which one would that be? The m. So if it's not a fraction, let's make it a fraction just so it's easy to graph, okay? So, since I did these numbers in orange right here, let's graph those in the orange. Now, if I'm going to graph them, what do you start off with? Do you start with your m or your b first? Now, this is when I go back to my alphabet days. Which letter comes first in the alphabet, m or b? And you're right, it is the b, so that's what I'm going to do first. And remember, the b is my y-intercept, so this is very, very easy. I come right over here to the b, go, this says b is negative 1, so I go down 1. All right, so there it gives me my nice little starting point. It also says my m is up 3 over 1. Remember, if we want to say slope is my rise over run, you can write that down right there in your notes. So I'm going to go up 3, starting from this point, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And if you wanted to, you could keep going. Up 1, 2, 3, over 1. That goes off. Now I could also go down 3, back 1. Down 3, back 1. And if you notice, those are always going to hit right on each other. So we can do a nice little, what if I did this here? Oh, how straight is that? Man, hold up. That's pretty awesome, okay? So we have our line there. There's our, what we call, what is that? Our f of x. So I'll label that f of x. We'll change colors here for the other graph here. Now, what do I start with? M or b? M or b? Which one comes first in the alphabet is the b. So it says I need to start up 3. So 1, 2, 3. Connect the dot. Or not connect the dots just yet. We got our b first. Now, this says my slope is rise over run, but the rise is going down 2 over 1. So I'm going to go down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. Down 2, and look at this. But if I can go up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1. And if you do it correctly, folks. It comes out nice and neat. We've got our nice little line here, okay? So pretty simple. We've graphed our dots, la 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 la. So that's reviewing what we've done in the past, our prior knowledge. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. And we're able to graph them, okay? Looks like it's pretty simple to me. Any questions there? No. All right. Well, let's check out what's at the bottom of the page. So move this bad boy straight down. Yeah. Okay. Now it says we're going to combine functions and graph them to compare and contrast the effects. Looks like we got some work ahead of us, but hey, we're big ballers, shot callers. We can do this. So let's first, it says graph both functions. Well, I'm going to take this here. I need an m and a b. Anybody tell me what my b is? B is the easiest one because it's always a number chilling by itself, so -3. But my m is the number in front of x. If I don't have a number, you can't just say 0, but how many x's do you see? I see 1, so my m is 1. Don't forget, which one should be a fraction? The m, so put it 1/1, okay? And since we're right here, let's go ahead and graph this bad boy. Which one do I start off with first, m or b? Which one comes first in the alphabet? It's your b, so you're going to start with the b. So I'm going to go down 3, and there it is, because it's my y-intercept, so that's where I always start, somewhere on the y-axis. Now my slope is 1/1, so I'm going to go up 1/1, up 1/1, up 1/1. I could keep going on for days, or I can do the opposite. Instead of up 1/1, down 1, back 1, down 1, back 1, down 1, back 1. And if I do it right, I'm going to have a nice little line there. I could connect the dots, la 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 la, and I have my graph, okay? So I've got my straight line there. And since that's f of x, I'm going to go ahead and label this on my graph f of x, okay? We'll switch colors here for the other graph. Now it says g of x. So now I've got g of x, my m and the b. Again, the b is the easiest one to find because it's always a number at the end usually. The number chilling all alone. And my m right here happens to be -3. But remember, one of those needs to be a fraction. Make it your m, if that helps you. Now, what do I do first? Graph m or b? That's right, you graph your b first. So from here I go up 2. There's my starting point because it's the y-axis. But this one says down 3. So down 3/1, down 3/1. And I could keep going all the way. Or I could go up 3, back 1, up 3, back 1. And guess what? Now I have my graph. So connect the dots, la 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 la. So beautiful because we're big ballers, shot callers. All right. So now we have our two functions graphed. But look at this. This says I want f of x plus g of x. And that would give me my answer h of x. So it says f of x plus g of x. Now I could look at the graphs right now and try to graph them, or we've already graphed them, but try to combine the functions, but that's kind of funky. But if I have my two equations, guess what? I can just add those two together. What is f of x? Well, we already said f of x is x minus 3. So technically, couldn't I say x minus 3? That's my f of x. And then it says plus, and then it says g of x. Well, we already found g of x. Actually, it gave it to us. So I'm just going to put parentheses just because f of x and g of x are two separate equations. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, folks. Is there anything on the outside of this parenthesis? No. So that's not going to change it. So that's just x minus 3. And is there anything in front of this parenthesis? It's just a plus. So that means everything's going to stay the same. So that's going to say negative 3x, and that's going to stay a plus 2. Because that's plus, I'm just adding what I see. And if you remember the big baller shot callers, what I'm going to do here is very, very simple, is combine like terms. This x minus 3x. Well, if I have 1x and I take 3x's away, I actually have negative 2x's left. So what I'm going to do is get rid of those boxes. Okay? Now, I have a negative 3 and a positive 2. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Can the x's and the constants go together? No. So guess what my answer is? My answer is negative 2x minus 1. And that's it. All I did was add f of x and g of x, and it gave me h of x. So guys, if you can add and subtract, this is so easy. So what happened when the two functions were combined? Well, look at this slope. It's negative 2. I had a negative 3 and a 1. So our slopes changed, right? So we have a different slope. So the slopes changed. And my y-intercept was negative 3 and 2, and now it's a negative 1. So slopes changed, and my y-intercept changed. Intercept changed. So we had two changes happen by combining those two functions. So what you have to do is very simple, folks, is you're going to add the two functions together or subtract the two functions. If you can combine like terms, you're going to find yourself doing something very easy. So let's give it a shot. Let's look at the next page. Okay? This says, now you're going to see the graph lines, but this case, we did not give you the functions. I gave you the graphs, but you've got to go out and find the functions. So let's see if we can do that, all right? I think we're big ballers. We can handle that. So here we go. The first thing I told you to find is the easiest thing to find. Remember, we're looking for y equals mx plus b. The easiest thing to always find is the b. That's the y-intercept. So let's look at f of x. Here's f of x. Where is the starting point? Where's a good y-intercept? And it looks like right here. And what number is that? That number is a 6. So I'm going to put plus 6. Everybody see that? And you could write this on your paper. My b is 6. Now the graph is going up, so I know I have to go up and over. Now you see different points on here, but what I see is there's other points on there. So how do I get from one point to the other? You don't have to use the points in the graph. You can find whatever. It looks like right here if I go up 1 over 1. So my slope is 1 over 1. Or you can leave it as 1. It doesn't matter when you're writing it out. So since I'm doing mx plus b, my slope is 1 over x, so my slope is 1x plus 6. There's my f of x. Okay? Now let's look at g of x. I'm looking for a starting point, so I need my y-intercept to go down. Bam! There it is. So in this case, my b is negative 4. And the graph is going down, but let's see how far it's going down. And in this case, it looks like it's there, but I don't think it's all the way there. Let's go down 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like we're going down 2 over 5. So my slope is down 2 over 5. So I know I have my b, which is always the last number, which is negative 4, down 2 over 5. And there's my function. Okay, so I have my f of x and I have my g of x. But the question states, find the equation for f of x plus g of x. So now I've got to add those two bad boys together. So let's do the work right here. I'm going to add 1x plus 6 plus negative 2/5 x minus 4. So let's see what we're going to do here. Since there's nothing in front of this, I'm just going to rewrite this, 1x plus 6. This is a plus, so all that means that everything's going to stay the same, minus 2/5 x minus 4. Well, I've got my 1x and my negative 2/5 x. Now, I already know some of you are like, what? I got fractions. This is crazy. Well, if you have your graphing calculator, folks, just put 1 minus 2 over 5, math enter, and it's going to give you your fraction. Or remember that 1 is a whole number. It's just any number. 1 divided by 1 is 1, right? So look at my denominator, it's 5. Check this magic out. Ready? This is going to get crazy. Isn't 1 the same as 5 over 5? Think about it. 5 divided by 5 is 1, right? It's the same thing. So if I have 5 over 5x minus 2 over 5x, let's see how this works. What's 5 minus 2? 5 minus 2 is 3 over 5x. Wow! That's some crazy magic, you know what I'm saying? If I have 1 whole minus 2/5, I'm left with 3/5. And that's as hard as you're ever going to get, folks. Don't be scared about that. But if you see fractions, just make the whole number a fraction. That's old school math. And let's try this other one. Let's change colors. How about here? What's 6 minus 4? 6 minus 4 is plus 2. And guess what? I'm done. All right? So the hardest part about this is adding fractions, which you're not going to see a lot of, folks, okay? Not going to see a lot of. But first off, let's see. Whew, I'm getting nervous here. Can we find the equations? That's back in Algebra 1, 8th grade actually, is find the b, the m, get the equation. Find the b, the m, get the equation. Then the problem is going to tell you to either add the equations or subtract the equations. If you add them, you just put a plus and nothing changes. You just put them together. Okay? Super duper easy. But let's try one more together. Okay? One more together. Oh, let's go down here. Let's look at this problem here. Okay? Whew! This case it says find h of x and find g of x. And, oh, right above it, I believe, it says h minus g of x. Oh, crazy. This is going to get crazy up in here. What? So here's h. First thing you find is what letter? We've got y equals mx plus b. You always find the b first. It comes in the alphabet first, folks. And your b is always your y-intercept. So let's find it. Bam! There it is. That's an 8. So all I'm going to do is go blue. That's going to be 8. Blue. So I need a plus 8 at the end. Now this graph is going down. And to me, there's a point right there. There's a point right there. There's a point right there. There's lots of points we can make. But I'm going down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. So there's my m. Down 2 over 1 x. Got my first equation. Okay? Down 2 over 1x. Now let's look at g of x. The first thing you always find is your b. Here's my b. So that is negative 6. So I'm just going to put minus 6. You see how easy this is? You just put the y-intercept right there on your paper. Now this one says go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So I'm going up 2 over 1x. So now I've got my two equations. But look up here. It says take h of x minus g of x. So this is where it gets a little crazy, okay? We're going to take h of x, and do we have to put it over 1? Not really. Okay? Minus g of x. Okay? Now, some people are like, what happened to the 1? Let's just do a little math. 2 divided by 1 is 2. Negative 2 divided by 1 is 2. When you're doing mathematics right here, you really don't need the 1 there. But this is where it gets a little tricky. So let's see what happens here. Now, there's nothing in front of the parentheses here, so it stays the same. I'm just going to write it below it. But look what's in front of this parenthesis. There's a minus. And this is as hard as it's going to get. You just distribute the minus. What's a negative times 2? Negative 2x. What's a negative times a negative 6? That's positive 6. Now, it's super easy cake here. I'm just going to combine like terms. What's negative 2x and a negative 2x? You should get negative 4x. Okay? And then I get 8 plus 6. 8 plus 6 is 14. So there's my f of x equals negative 4x plus 14. Now it says on here it wants you to graph f of x. But if I graph 14, I'm going to be way off the graph, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then down 4 over 1. So my graph ends up being something funky like this, which is all good. I still have a different y-intercept, different slope, but in the end, I'm all good. So on your assignment today, folks, can you do this? Can you find your b's and your m's? How do you get to the next point? And then if it says subtract it, you've got to distribute the negative. If it says add it, you just add the combine and combine like terms, okay? I think you got this, yo. It's pretty simple. If you can find your m and b. Find your m and b first, get your equations, and then either add or subtract them depending on what the problem says. Okay? You could handle this, folks. It's just combining like terms. Y'all did a lot of practice on this last week, so I wish you luck. You can handle it, all right? You are the bomb. Peace out, yo. Laters.